All right. So today I have a very exciting guest, Addie, who is an Instagram model. She is also a businesswoman. And we're going to talk about kind of what she's up to, what life looks like moving forward. And hopefully you guys will be able to learn a couple of things today. So let's bring Addie in.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Addie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Super excited. I get to check this off my bucket list. I've always wanted to be on a podcast.
Well, very exciting and very exciting for me because today is officially the launch and you are our first interview. So I'm very excited
How
that we get to share this
sweet.
together.
I'm excited too. Let's do it.
Well, what I
And
would
I'm
like to at
happy for
least,
you.
well, thank you very much. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So let's just jump into it. And if you wouldn't mind, just tell the viewers a little bit about where you're from and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. So my whole life I've been a desert baby. And I recently moved to Phoenix, but I'm originally from Tucson, Arizona.
Okay, got it. Yeah, we were talking just before we started, and I was saying, you're going to get an opportunity to go and visit and see all the fun things that there are to do in Phoenix. We're coming
I
out of this
know.
COVID era.
Yes, I'm so excited to see the world open again
Well, and
and
then
back
also
to
just
normal.
for kind of your lifestyle as well, I think that people have this perception that it's larger than life and you're getting the star treatment everywhere you go. You are an Instagram model. Is that what it's like being an Instagram model?
Not for me. I can't really speak on other people's experience, but for me, I just feel like everything is normal. It is a little bit different when you go somewhere and you're trying to get pictures and people are just looking at you, like just staring at you. They're interested in, I feel like they're just interested in knowing, like, who I am and stuff like that. But other than that, I wouldn't say I get any type of like star treatment. The only thing for me is when I'm out there getting pictures and I'm getting people just looking at me. But that's really it. It's nothing crazy. Not for me, at
How do you
least.
handle that when you get the, we'll call them the gawkers?
I just do my thing. I'm there. Usually, when I go and take pictures, I'm actually eating at the restaurant or I'm actually doing something there. So I don't always just pull up somewhere and try to get pictures and content. I like to dress up and actually go out and have dinner. So to me, the way I handle it is I'm there to eat, have dinner, whatever, have a good time, but I'm also documenting it. So I'm getting pictures of myself. I really don't pay attention to them staring at me or nothing. It's something that I've just had to get used to pretty much.
Well, and I think that, I personally, with my clients, I do entertainment law. And so I talk to my clients who are influencers and are content creators. And there's sometimes is this misperception that, you're not really working. People don't think about that. They don't understand that, for example, if you're trying to upload content or upload to your Instagram, let's say a few times a week, or, even more than that, let's say 7 days a week, it's a lot of work. And so what does that
Yeah.
look like for you? Are these different outfits? Are they different locations?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have small boutiques and companies send me free clothes. So it kind of makes my job easier because I already have the clothes that I'm going to take pictures in. I just have to put myself together and find a place I want to go to and just dress for the occasion and just take pictures. So I'm fortunate to have that clothes already sent to me, but before I was having companies send clothes to me, I was going out and putting outfits together and buying my different outfits and stuff like that. So on a day to day, I wake up, I just get ready for the day and I see wherever the day takes me, like if we're gonna go eat somewhere, go to the movies, or just go walk around at the mall or whatever. And that's pretty much how I get content. So I try to make it really genuine and authentic. I don't like to think too much about it or get in my head about the content that I'm gonna get. But it's a lot of work, every day having to get ready, um, just having to get ready and just look your best all the time does get tiring, but it's my job and I feel like I love to do it. So just like anything, just like any regular job, you get tired of it sometimes, but you kind of have to do it. So yeah.
I know that for some of my clients that are Instagram models, influencers, and sometimes they'll do bulk content creation, right? So they're going to go
Yeah.
to a couple locations, a few different outfits, and it's because they don't want to have to look nice every day. They don't want to do their
Yeah,
makeup.
exactly.
They want to be in their,
Yes.
you know, in their casual wear and not wearing makeup like 6 days out of the week and get
Yes.
all the content on the one.
Yeah, for me, I'm trying to get used to that too because even my boyfriend would always tell me like you should get a lot of pictures in different outfits in one day, and I always would say I like for it to be authentic. I like to get ready and not waste an outfit for a picture. You know what I mean? I like to wear the outfit and actually do something in it. But now that things are starting to pick up for me and I'm venturing off to new opportunities, it really does help when I have all these pictures at once and I don't have to worry about I can focus on other things the rest of the week or just a few days in a row. So I definitely understand that it makes it so much easier. And before I hated it because I hated having to change, you know, in a restroom or
Right.
just like whatever. It's like I hated it, but now that I'm actually doing it and I see how much easier it is for me to be prepared and have those pictures ready, I'm like, why didn't I do this, you know, before?
Yeah. Well, and as far as where you're going and new opportunities, and we'll talk about that. But something
Yeah.
else that I think is interesting and people wonder about is kind of what does it take as far as your team to do what you do? Is it just you and a photographer? Do you have a stylist? How does that all kind of work?
Um, my photographer right now, it goes between myself and my boyfriend. I have a tripod, so I usually take that with me, or he'll be with me. So that's pretty much how I get my pictures. As far as a stylist, I put my outfits together by myself. I try to get a little creative when it comes to my outfits and the content that I get. But behind me, I think I have a really strong team. So they really push me and motivate me. And they always help me with the creative part of it. So they'll send me ideas of content and just what does good on social media as far as performance. They'll give me good, just like inspirational pictures and stuff like that. So I think the team behind me really, really helps me and makes it a lot easier. But as far as photographer, stylist, I do it all myself along with my boyfriend. For now, I feel like it's going to get to a point where I'm going to want a stylist and a photographer and everything. But for now, it's just really personal.
Yeah, and I think that the best entrepreneurs, the best business people always start like that. They do everything
Hmm.
themselves because they have
Yeah.
to, because you don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to have to pay other people, maybe when you're not making
Exactly.
the funds that you want right away. But when you are at that growth point and you go, oh boy, I really need, you know, we're doing so many shoots and so many opportunities. So I got to have these people in place. That's just a logical next step. And something
Yeah.
that you can and should talk about is, you know, what's called a contractor agreement. So at which point you decide that you want to hire someone, let's say a formal photographer. And quite frankly, even with your boyfriend, this is something you should think about. People don't
Right.
do it with significant others, right? Because they don't want to have contracts and stuff like that. It's just weird if it's your family,
Yeah.
if it's your friends. However, the way it works is that the person who takes your picture technically owns the copyright in that picture because
Mhm.
they made it, even though it's of you. And so
Yeah.
when you work with photographers and specifically Instagram models, we want to do what's called a contractor agreement. So it says, you know, photographer is being hired to take pictures, but you, Addie, own everything that's created. It's not a super complicated agreement by any means, but it's just something we want to make sure you actually own everything and that this photographer can't go and release your pictures without your authorization.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something that I'm learning throughout the way. That's why I'm really grateful to have the team that I have behind me because they're really trustworthy people. And if I ever have any questions or doubts or anything, they're always there to help me. So that's definitely something that I'm learning throughout the, you know, just along the way, just learning how to do things the right way legally and just making sure that I'm looking after myself first before anything else. So I'm really grateful to have the team that I have because that's something that they've taught me. And I'm still learning a lot of new, you know, a lot of things, important things. So yeah, that's something that I didn't know back then, but now it's like it's important to know, especially if you're trying to get into the industry, you have to really know how to look out for things like that and look out for yourself and your name and your brand and everything. So,
Yeah, you absolutely need to protect yourself, especially as your brand
yeah.
grows. And now you've mentioned your team a couple of times. Are we? I saw Team Peach. Tell us a little bit about Team Peach. What is it?
So, Team Peach is just a group of professionals, really, a group of people that helped me create my own website. It's a subscription website. It's pretty much, it was made to engage with my followers on a more personal level. So they really helped me create my website. They, like I said earlier, they helped me with even inspiration for my pictures. Um, Team Peach is also very a company that focuses on empowering women. The founder is actually he's really, really smart. He's a wise person, and I've been around him a lot. I've been learning a lot because of him, and he always encourages everyone to think as business owners. And it's something very new for me and overwhelming because I don't know, I didn't really know much about being a business owner, but being in meetings with him and meeting new people and interacting with different type of like entrepreneurs and stuff like that, it showed me how important it is to think as a business owner and how important it is to know like what it takes to be a business owner, because essentially I am a business owner. I'm building a name for myself, I'm building a brand for myself. So it's important for me to know even legally that somebody can own your pictures and you don't even know, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Team Peach is amazing. I love the team that I have, and I love how they inspire us and empower us and want women to you know, just be empowered and empower each other and feel sexy and feel and like get to know yourself, genuinely, because that I've learned a lot about myself ever since I started working with Team Peach and the founder and everything. So, yeah.
Well, and I know one thing that we have talked about and something that you're even in the process of developing is actually getting an LLC, which stands for limited liability company. And, generally when it comes to limited liability companies, even if you're just one person or you do have a couple of people who are part owners in your company, it's always a really good idea to have an LLC because it creates this liability shield around you. And so an example might be maybe you're doing, a photo shoot somewhere and you just like accidentally swing around, you hit someone in the face, and now they're suing you. And if you ever face some kind of lawsuit, the benefit of an LLC is that they are going to sue your LLC. And so, if something bad happens and you lose, they're not going to be able to get a judgment, right? So like monetary damages or something like that against you. And so having kind of this liability shield is something I always tell clients. Get that
Yeah.
as soon as humanly possible and then use it, right? So if you do deals and you get a sponsor and so you're signing contracts, you should always, always be signing as your LLC, never in your individual
Yes.
name, because if you use the LLC, you have that liability shield.
You're protected. Yeah, I just registered my LLC. I don't know if you want to get into that now or if you want to wait a little bit to talk about it, but
Well, just as far as I think the most important thing is just, a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And the first thing is a lot of people don't know you need the LLC.
okay.
And so now that you're in the process of building that, it's having that protection and then understanding you need to actually use it, right? Don't just set it up and then it goes,
Yeah.
by the wayside. When you do contracts, sign as your LLC every time and understand the difference between doing that versus signing a contract as your individual self.
Yeah, for sure. Especially knowing how I am. I'm super clumsy. I'm like, like I'm super clumsy. So you never know. You never know what could happen. Like you said, you can hurt somebody, whatever. Like it's just better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, look, and I think more commonly with like an Instagram model kind of situation, it'd be maybe, a breach of contract and now they're suing
Yeah.
you and they're saying you
Oh
owe us a
yeah.
hundred thousand, but I think with like my musicians, for example, that's usually where bodily injury comes into place because like these rock stars will go and do a show and then they punch someone in the face and they're getting sued now.
Oh my God.
But
No,
anyway,
yeah, like,
whatever the potential damage is, it's good just to have an actual LLC. And then the other thing that you do, especially if you are doing an LLC with a partner, is you have what's called an operating agreement, which again is just a contract. But what it does is it sets the framework of the relationship. And it's like, okay, we're making money. Who gets part of that money?
yeah.
How much do they get? And so it outlines the relationship.
Yes, it definitely does. And it sets boundaries too. And it's kind of like, look, you're under contract. It's not even me. It's legally, you have to do this, you have to do
Right.
that. You know what I mean? So it does set boundaries as well.
Well, and when it comes to contracts, I think that, a lot of people are scared of them because there's so many legalese. I don't know what the crap this contract says. And, I was the same way, even through law school, right? So I'm learning all this stuff. I'm learning to be a lawyer. And I had contracts for my own entertainment career and I would take them to other people. I was like, I don't know what this says. So
Yeah. Oh,
but the point is, you gotta have contracts for everything, right? We talked about your photographer, right? So we want to make sure we have a contract with that person at some point. But anytime you do a deal, it should never be, hey, I'm gonna send you money, you do this thing, and then we never actually put anything in writing. It should never ever be like that.
yeah.
But I mean, that usually comes with the second point of well, what do you do? Right? So if you don't understand the contracts, do you one of two things? Number one, having an actual attorney to help is a huge headache reliever because you have someone who's got your back. They know what these things say.
Yeah.
They're going to draft the contracts. But alternatively, another, kind of option that I give clients is I go, sometimes we just build templates, right? Because I'll be like, I know what you do as a business. You're going to do these types of deals. And so we can create templates. So you don't necessarily need to come back to me, right? So you have kind of your standard one or two agreements, and then you just keep
Okay.
using them every time you
Yeah.
do a deal.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, that's something new I learned right now. I didn't know it could be a little more simple than having an actual like full contract. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And sometimes keeping it simple is the way to do business, right? So you as a businesswoman, when you do a deal with someone, maybe that other person doesn't do contracts very often. So as soon as you're like, hey, let's do a contract, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
They're
I
like,
don't sign
yeah. Oh
and
my.
so you're like, oh shoot, I don't want to blow this deal. But
Mm-hmm.
as a businesswoman, the difference is you gotta kind of handle yourself and you'll say, no, this is how I do my deals. I gotta have everything in writing. And so you'll use your templates and it just kind of sets a tone of professionalism because now you are a pro. The pros always require contracts, and it's just as simple as that.
Yeah. And it goes back to me saying that I've learned so much because even being firm and like being honest and upfront with people, that's something that I'm still working on and learning from being a businesswoman. It's I'm telling you, I'm learning so many new things even about myself, like things that I have to do as a business owner, and contracts are a little scary to me even now just because of what I've been through in the past with contracts. So I can totally understand how having these templates can really make it easier for business owners, and even as the person signing the contract, it's just better to have it simplified than to have to go over such a huge contract for just one little, like business venture, whatever. I don't know what you would call it, but yeah, so that's definitely one thing that I've learned too along the way, that contracts are super important. And that as a business owner, you have to really know what you want, and people have to understand that the way that you work, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
definitely
that's
something
exactly
I,
it. Because, you probably can attest to the fact that you probably end up working with a lot of the same people, right? So just whatever it is, if you end up finding a good photographer at some point, you'll probably end up using that same person over and over and over. So you're right. At some point, it just becomes a way of how you do your deals. And a good example might be when I have productions that I oversee, right? So we have the music video contracts. And so for a lot of people, that might be kind of unsettling. They don't do contracts a lot, but at some point, because they've worked with me so often, they know at the beginning of the shoot, I'm running around with that piece of
Yeah.
paper, you better sign.
Yeah, that's so true.
And no weird feelings, no whatever. They're just like, oh no, that's Krystle. And I remember I kind of got a bad rap in the beginning because I was
Why?
always, my mom always told me before I went to law school, before I did anything, my mom said that you needed to make sure everything was in writing. You have to make sure everything is
Oh yeah.
clear. And so the way that's how I handled myself with my own entertainment career and my music career. And so sometimes I would hear and people would be like, man, she's so hardcore. She's so everything has to be signed, everything this and that. And they made it sound like a bad thing. But I'm like, you're absolutely right, because I've treated myself like I was pro since the beginning.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that was such a good way of like your mom, making you think and the way
Yeah.
that you grew up because it is protection against, it's protection for yourself. So it's important to have that in writing for sure. Definitely something I've learned throughout the way.
Well, and we talk about contracts and protecting ourselves because look, bad things happen. People take
Oh
advantage
my
of
God.
us, and to the
Yes.
extent that maybe something has happened to you, a manager, a team member. I mean, I don't know if you're comfortable talking about anything, but have you had
Yeah.
an experience where maybe a lawyer or contracts or something could have helped?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A few years ago, I actually had an incident that had to do with a contract and there's a team of people that I was working with, but it goes back to when you said that you have to do things the right way because even though it wasn't a good experience, and I can get into it right now, but even though it wasn't a good experience, I think it was a learning experience because I learned how important it is to do things the right way. So this time around, I know how important it is to have an attorney go over the contract with you and answer any questions you have and just be clear about what you're signing because what happened in the past with me was I was underage. I was 17 when I signed the contract. And so when I turned of age, it kind of was invalid. So I had to re sign again. But at that age and not having people around me know a lot about the industry, I was kind of like, it was so much going on for me at once. It was just too much going on. I felt like I was doing things that I didn't want to do, not really in a bad way, just because I wasn't comfortable with myself. So I was, they were telling me to do like YouTube videos and stuff like that. And at the time, I was doing it because I knew legally I had to do it, but it got to a point where it was just like, do I really want to keep doing this? Is this something like going into it? I saw a huge opportunity, but once I was doing it and I was experiencing it hands on, it was something that I just didn't feel like doing anymore at that time in my life. So I didn't re-sign the contract. And so what happened was these people had access to all of my social medias, like my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, my Twitter, everything. And so because I didn't re-sign the contract, because I was now 18, I had to re-sign. They ended up pretty much like hacking my accounts and changed the passwords and everything that I had built pretty much and that they helped me build. They now had rights to it. Like it was theirs now because I didn't re-sign the contract. So that's why it's so important to go over these contracts and really know what you're signing because I had no idea that if I didn't re-sign the contract that they were going to take everything, everything from me, all of my pages and everything that I thought I had. So yeah, that was kind of the experience that I had a few years ago. So that's exactly why I understand totally when people are afraid of contracts or they think it's bigger than it actually. I mean, it is a big thing, but for me, it's kind of like I already went through such a horrible experience that that's why I'm afraid of contracts. So that's why now I do things the right way. I sit down with an attorney, a lawyer, and I go over everything If I have any questions, I make sure to ask. Don't be afraid to ask, don't be afraid to ask the wrong question, because if you don't understand something, that's what they're there for. The attorney is there for you to have clarity, especially when it comes to a contract. So that's kind of a little bit of a backstory on what happened with me. And there's a lot more that happened, but just to kind of sum it up, it just comes to show how important it is to know what you're getting into and to do things the right way. So
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that. And I love that you just said, don't be afraid to ask if you have a
yeah,
question. As an attorney, I have to tell my clients this sometimes because I think, of course, they know. I am here, I am hired literally to help
yeah,
them to understand. But sometimes people are nervous to ask because they don't want to seem stupid. And they're
yeah,
never stupid. It's not a stupid question if you don't understand it. And I will repeat it
hmm
to you 4 or 5 times in different ways until you do understand. Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, you need to have an advocate who is there and has gotcha and is going to explain things to you. And so I'm very happy that you shared that for anybody who is watching this. And also just the point that you made about when you signed the agreement, you were 17, so you were underage, and legally that means you don't have what's called capacity. So you don't have capacity to enter into a contract. So when we do agreements with entertainers, right? So if they're underage, we usually have a guardian, a parent, so that person can sign on behalf of the minor. But then when you come of age, you have to decide whether you're going to resign and whatever, because now you're an adult. And so, as it relates to the social media accounts, the one thing I did want to ask you is when you had first started, wasn't it an account that this team had already kind of grown, or was it your account and they kind of took over?
it was my account. I actually had the Instagram account ready, and I don't know if you know the backstory of what the way that I was pretty much discovered or how I came about modeling.
Okay, share
It
it.
was so pretty much the reason or the way that I started modeling or being an Instagram model was because I had been in a video that went viral, and overnight it did like hundreds of thousands of views, and people were just interested in knowing like who I was and like things like that. So the manager that I have now, which is actually the founder of Team Peach, he's no longer with the company that I had signed with, or whatever, but he was the one that told me you should make an Instagram account because that's where you're gonna grow like the fastest, and that's what people. This was back in 2014, so Instagram had only been Instagram for like a few years, like 3 or 4 years, I think. So there wasn't a lot of influencers or anybody on Instagram, and he always just sees like the bigger picture all the time. He always knows like do this because this is gonna happen. I know this is gonna go good, whatever. So I made an Instagram account, and my followers just blew up. I got to maybe like 300 or 400,000 in less than a year, literally like in a few months. And so I had my Instagram account already before I signed any contract. The thing that they did help me with was my YouTube channel. And I think I even had my own Twitter account that I had made. It only had about maybe like 13,000 followers, but it's kind of harder to grow on Twitter. But they took my Instagram, they took my YouTube, my Twitter, everything. But to answer your question, I already had my Instagram account before I even signed the contract with them.
And when did this happen? As far as them actually taking over the accounts, you guys splitting ways?
Literally, the second that I said that I told them that I wasn't going to re-sign the contract, I think it was over a phone call, and I told them that I wasn't going to resign. And as soon as we ended the call, I tried to go back into my Instagram, and it had logged me out. I tried logging back in. It said that the password was incorrect. Same thing with my Twitter, same thing with YouTube, like literally instantly.
And was this a few years ago?
Yeah, this was like 7 years ago. I don't really remember how long it's been,
Oh.
but it's been a few years.
Yeah, well, and the reason I ask that is because, when you're explaining the story of what happened to me, it sounds like they went and they stole your
Hmm.
accounts, your
Hmm.
your assets, right? Because you had built a lot of value. There's a lot of
Yeah.
value to having
Oh, yeah.
followers, right? And so if you had had a conversation with me, then I would have said
Oh,
we need
yeah.
to go straight to court because there's things that you can do to get a court to basically grant what's called like an injunction. And so you get the court to say, stop them. They can't do anything else with the account. We need to
Yeah.
figure out who owns it. Now, I mean, that's absolutely what I would have advised you to do because if
And
you
that's
own it,
Yeah, no, and that's why I can't stress enough how important it is to know what you're signing because and to have an attorney because I didn't have an attorney at that time. I didn't have a lawyer go over the contract with me. I didn't, I trusted these people. I thought that they were gonna just look out for me and for my better interest and stuff like that. Like it was my fault, I had, I didn't go over it. I just signed. Like I saw it as an opportunity. I'm like, what 17-year-old is getting, like a contract and it's gonna be making money and then I had my mom who doesn't know anything about the industry. We just didn't have a lawyer. We didn't have an attorney to go to and be like, hey, like this is what's happening. This is what they're doing. They're taking over my social media platforms and I don't know what to do. Like I didn't have that guidance. So that's why I say that it's so important to do things the right way. And that's why I'm grateful that things happened the way that they did, even though the result was very unfortunate. I just feel like it taught me so many things and it's lessons that I can share with other people who are looking to get in the industry and don't know like what they're getting themselves into. It's not, like I said, it's not all peaches and cream. It's not always beautiful. You're gonna go through these type of things. So I wish I would have known you at the time. I wish I would have had, an attorney or someone that can help me. But like I said, I'm here now. I learned from it and I'm ready to just help the next person with what I went through. So,
yeah, and you taking that away from that experience again, that's your resiliency. As a
yeah,
business person, things are going to happen. There's going to be very shady people that you work with, and your experiences and skill set will help you to find them and locate them
yeah,
faster so you can get away from them faster. Now, I do disagree with you when you said it was your fault. Totally disagree. It's almost like, victim blaming. It wasn't your fault. Just because you didn't know better didn't make it right. Now that you have an attorney, and had it been then, I would have gone and annihilated all of them. But now you know. And so if we have that
yeah,
happen again,
no.
we'll take care of it.
Yeah, the reason why I say it's my fault is because now I know so much better
Yeah.
that I'm like, why the hell would I do that? I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss, but like, why would I do that? That's why I kind of blame my fault, but I totally agree with you. It's like I didn't know any better at the time.
Yeah. Well, so what I would like to do is you've shared so much, and I'm sure this is going to be very inspiring for, let's say, other Instagram models or just people in the entertainment industry, especially young women. So if there is a young 17-year-old watching this, anything else that you would like to maybe share about what you have learned and any takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I wish at that age I had somebody to give me advice. Like I said before, there wasn't a lot of influencers. There was really not a lot of models on Instagram, from what I know. So I wish that someone would have told me to just go into this with the light heart and don't compare yourself to the models that you see on Instagram because I'm here to tell you that I edit my pictures. I smooth out my skin. I try to perfect the picture. You know what I mean? Because it's like, who wants to put out a picture where you don't look good in? You know what I mean? So it's like, don't compare yourself for sure. Go into it with the light heart. Have fun with it. If this is going to be your job, if this is something that you really want to make turn into a career, then just have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to be what you see on the internet. Like, don't try to be like somebody, be yourself, be genuine, have fun, don't compare yourself. And of course, make sure that if you come across a contract or an opportunity that has anything to do with the contract or whatever the case is, always have an attorney, always have somebody that is experienced, always talk to friends that even if you, like me back then, I didn't have anybody that I could get any advice from, but nowadays it's more common. So if there's somebody inspiring you and you can contact them and talk to them and just kind of like know what you're getting yourself into, then do it. But for sure, always just have somebody to answer your questions, go over contracts, make sure you have clarity, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. But more than anything, just have fun and be yourself and don't compare yourself to anyone.
I love that. And in fact, you have rebounded beautifully. And I think you have something like 450,000 followers on
Oh
Instagram.
yeah.
Where can people follow you? Give your username.
So my Instagram is Adilene Idalie 96. So I'm gonna spell it out because I know it's
Spell it
kind of,
out.
so it's Adileneidale 96 because that's the year I was born. And my Facebook is the same, Adilene Idalie. And I have a Twitter. You can follow me on there if you'd like. It's just Adilene Idalie, but with the Y for Idalie instead of IE.
Okay,
So
very nice. And we'll be sure to add that on the screen as
yes.
well. Addie, thank you so much for being with us today. You're amazing. I can't wait till we, go experience Phoenix together. Let's go do
I
something
know.
and we'll deal with any problems that might come up in the future. So
Well,
thank you for being here.
yes, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so happy for you, and I'm excited. Hopefully, there's a part two to this sometime soon. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, and for sure, whenever we can get together, hang out, whatever, I'm looking forward to it.
Perfect. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Thank you again, Addie, for joining me, guys. I'm super excited. This was the very first podcast, and we're going to have a wide variety of guests to come, including not just, Instagram models, but entertainers, athletes, everyone in between. Something that I just really appreciated that Addie shared was not only her experience and what she learned and has learned being her own businesswoman and kind of working towards what that looks like for her and building her own business, but, she's been through some things already. And out of all of it, she's shown that she's very resilient. And I love the fact that, her big takeaway was be yourself, do your own thing. And I can't stress that enough. I'm the one that's always going to be here to say, we're going to structure you a business. We're going to help you to think like an entrepreneur and to protect yourself. But, she said it perfectly. While you're doing all of that, have fun and enjoy the process. Be sure to come say hi on social media. I'm definitely the most active on Instagram, and it's always amazing meeting you guys. I'm Miss Krystle. Bye, guys.